Oh yeah, all the stick to the cake. Hallelujah, who big fat, right back like I never left. All the thing to you, who Shabbat Shalom, Mitch Park. I pray that all is magnificently, incredibly well in Yahushua HaMashiach name. Just coming on this great Shabbat to esteem Yahuwah. You already know it. That's just what it is. And it's gonna forever be that. So as the title says, birthday celebrations, are they wicked or are they righteous? All the thing to Yahuwah. So we can jump right into that, man. But at first, though, I definitely want to start this one off with a song from Big Aki. They Not Ready. Because this truth right here being presented may not be for everybody. And I'm sure it's not for everybody. But sheesh, after these truths come out, sheesh, I don't know how people are going to deny birthday celebrations ain't supposed to be partaken of by us. So let me just jump this phone. People die. Shabbat Shalom. Occult. Shalom. Brothers. Big fellas. Start off with Aki Daoud be loved. MindCultureFlorida.com. All this thing. People downplay a hoe, but they know they ain't ready for them. They can follow in a lot, but the truth they ain't ready for them. People dying every day, that's some proof people can't ignore. They can follow in a lot, but the truth they ain't ready for them. Hey, you're almighty. Told me to be mighty. Yeah, this is his body. You know I'm keeping it tight. Just keep it my own. I'm loyal to you. I gave him my life. So full on my move. Good scripts on hands. A couple not a good bands. Spend a few when I'm out. But I'm never keeping count. All I did was Bruce said. Never talk fall out. I ain't tripping about the cop. I treat the struggle like a law. We do. So comfy with you. Walk around in the grips. On my house coat plate. Yeah, you ain't on the woods. Young man out of woods. Who raised on the list. Try to start it from the ground. Dance all in the picture. Stay away from the hills. Too fast for a pistol. Won't like where you at. You know I know the cadet. But you know it ain't cheap. So it cost me that. Gave up everything. Oh, and that mean that. People downplay a hoe, but they know they ain't ready for them. They can follow in a lot, but the truth they ain't ready for them. People dying every day, that's some proof people can't ignore. All the steam to the Most High Yahuwah. I just wanted to drop that little piece off. Get out that folly, man. Birthday celebrations is definitely not of Yahuwah. Big facts. So we just going to start off with Ecclesiastes chapter 7, verse 1. A lot of us are familiar with this verse. A good name is better than precious ointment in the day of death than the day of one's birth. I mean, that says so much right there. If the day of death is better than one's day of birth, you don't celebrate someone's death, do you? You don't throw a party at someone's death, do you? You don't go have cakes at their funeral, do you? It's a mourning, right? So if that's better than celebrating your birthday, then why would you celebrate your birthday? It doesn't even make any sense. We're being born into wickedness. So therefore, if we're celebrating our birthday, we're celebrating being born into wickedness. Of course, we give thanks to Yahuwah for life. Of course, we give thanks to Yahuwah for life. That's not even a question. But the celebrating there's a real heathen pagan custom behind the act of celebrating birthdays, and we're going to get down to that. Even from the ancient Judaica encyclopedia, it's a lot of different things that we have to understand, that these activities were all covered up and dressed up very nicely. Just like we got Christmas, Santa Claus, we got Halloween, it's all dressed up looking pretty for us to celebrate, but it's all wickedness in disguise. Big fast. Let's continue on. Jeremiah chapter 20, verse 14 through 16. It says, "Cursed be the day wherein I was born. Let not the day wherein my mother bare me be blessed. Cursed be the man who brought tidings to my father, saying, a man-child is born unto thee, making him very glad. And let that man be as the cities which Yahuwah overthrew, and repented not. And let him hear the cry in the morning, and the shouting at noontide. So that said, just because this man came and said, hey, congratulations on your son being born, Jeremiah was cursing that. All because, once again, it's glorifying being born into wickedness. All of us are spiritual beings, everlastingly created from Yahuwah. So therefore, once we came down from above, that's nothing to celebrate. Absolutely not. That's why Yahushua's birth is never mentioned in the scripts, not one time. His birth date is never mentioned in the scripts at all. It's not you're never gonna find it, because there's no regarding of the birthday. Yes, the year he was born and the year kings were born, but there was no particular keeping of birthdays, because as we will get to later on, Yahuwah willing, you're gonna see it's a very heathen custom. So once again, Jeremiah in verse 18, the same chapter 20, he says, wherefore came I out of the womb to see labor and sorrow, that my days should be consumed with shame. So you celebrating that? Sheesh, no, not me. I would much rather stay up there with the king. All the things he owed. So he said, wherefore I came out of the womb to see labor and sorrow. That's something to celebrate for? I think not. Let's continue on. But trust me, it's a much more sinister plot behind birthdays. And once we get past these scripts, we definitely going to eat that, Yahuwah willing. So this is Job, the most righteous man on the earth at that time. And definitely more righteous than me, and I would say any of us on this earth, because he wasn't even introduced to the stuff that's going on right now. All this thing to you. So Job chapter 3, verses 3 through 8. Let the day perish wherein I was born, and the night in which it was said, there is a man-child conceived. Let that day be darkness. Let not Yahuwah regard it from above, neither let the light shine upon it. Let darkness and the shadow of death stain it. Let a cloud dwell upon it. Let the blackness of the day terrify it. As for that night, let darkness seize upon it. Let it not be joined unto the days of the year. Let it come into the number, let it not come into the number of the months. Lo, let that night be solitary. Let no joyful voice come therein. Let them curse it, which curse the day, who are ready to raise up their mourning. All this thing to Yahuwah. So I'm going to just start right there, verse 7. Lo, let that night be solitary. Let no joyful voice come therein. Don't sound like he's condoning rejoicing at someone's birthday. Definitely doesn't sound like that to me. It said, let no joyful voice come therein. Remember, these are prophets that Yahuwah spoke through. These are people that Yahuwah spoke through. So these words are Yahuwah's words coming from man. All this thing to Yahuwah. Bit fat. So let's continue on. Verse 8, which says, let them curse it that curse the day, who are ready to raise up their mourning. When we do a little deeper digging, excuse me. When we do a little deeper digging, we see that this is talking about the ones who are working sorcery and witchcraft, raising up their mourning. In other versions, we see that it's talking about Leviathan, the destroyer from the sea. And so this is what it's saying. Let those who curse the day, curse that day. Anyone celebrating their birthday is a form of self-worship. And once again, we're going to get to all that after these scripts, man. Bit fast. All this thing to you. Job chapter 3, verse 9 through 11. Continuing on. Let the stars of the twilight thereof be dark. Let it look for light, but have none. Neither let it see the dawning of the day. Because it shut not up the doors of my mother's womb, nor hid sorrow from my eyes. Why died I not from the womb? Why did I not give up the spirit when I came out of the belly? Sheesh, this man saying it was better that I died in the womb. They want to come to their place. So who celebrates something like that? Remember, once again, this is a righteous man of Yahuwah speaking. This is someone who was back there with Yahuwah, literally dealing with Yahuwah. So everybody say, well, how do you know? How do you know? Hey, I'm just going from the account of the word. You either believe the word or you don't. It's no gray area with Yahuwah. So it's always best to go back to the righteous men that he dealt with directly. And he called Job the most righteous being on the earth at that time. So I'm definitely going to take his account. All this thing to Yahuwah. Job chapter 1, verse 4 through 5. Now this even goes to show when his children were celebrating birthdays, Job didn't never show up because he knew that wasn't supposed to be partaken of by us. Job chapter 1, verse 4 through 5. And his sons went and feasted in their houses, everyone on his day, meaning his birthday, and sent and called for their 3 sisters to eat and drink with them. And it was so, when the days of their feasting were gone about, that Job sent and sanctified them, and rose up early in the morning, and offered burnt offerings, according to the number of all them. For Job said, it may be that my sons have sinned and cursed Yahuwah in their hearts. Thus Job did continually. So every time his daughter them and his sons then went to celebrate their birthday, Job woke up in the morning and sacrificed to Yahuwah because he said that he knew that they were cursing Yahuwah in their heart and they didn't know what they were doing. So Job went to go continually try to sanctify them by giving sacrifices to Yahuwah on their behalf. It didn't do any good at all. It sure didn't. Anyway, all this thing to Yahuwah. But once again, Job never was there. It was more than one occasion that they celebrated these feasts on their days, and Job didn't show up. And once again, it was a reason he didn't show up, because he knew that thing was wicked to Yahuwah. Big facts. Job chapter 1, verse 13. And there was a day when his sons and his daughters were eating and drinking wine in their elder brother's house. Once again, birthday. And what happened? Check it out. Verse 18 and 19. While he was yet speaking, there came also another and said, Thy sons and thy daughters were eating and drinking wine in their elder brother's house. And behold, there came a great wind from the wilderness, and smote the four corners of the house, and it fell upon the young men, and they all are dead. And I only am escaped to tell thee. So Yahuwah let that house fall upon them while they was in there celebrating their birthdays. Yahuwah said, psh, crash, party over. That's that real party crasher right there. All the things to Yahuwah. That's a real party crasher right there. Big facts. All the things to the Most High Yahuwah. Let's continue on. The mentionings of birthdays in the scripture. There are no positive mentions at all whatsoever of someone's birthday in the scriptures. However, there are many, many negative instances. We're going to bring out a couple though. Genesis chapter 40 verse 20 through 22. And it came to pass on the third day, which was Pharaoh's birthday, that he made a feast unto all his servants. And he lifted up the head of the chief butler and of the chief baker among his servants. And he restored the chief butler unto his butlership again. And he gave the cup into Pharaoh's hand. But he hung the baker on his birthday. So he took the occasion of celebrating his birthday to hang a man, to kill someone, to take someone's life. Let's continue on. Matthew chapter 14, verse 6 through 10. But when Herod's birthday was kept, birthday once again, the daughter of Herodias danced before them and pleased Herod. Whereupon he promised with an oath to give her whatsoever she would ask. And she, being forced, instructed by her mother, said, Give me here John's Baptist's head on a platter. And the king was sorry. Nevertheless, for the oath's sake, and them which that sat with him at meat, he commanded it to be given to her. And he sent and beheaded John in the prison. Now this is John, Yahukanan, who immersed Yahusha. He got beheaded on Herod's birthday, all because of a lady who danced on Herod's birthday. Please Herod. So Herod decided to take this man's head off his body. Decapitate this man. Get out of here, man. Of course we ain't supposed to be dealing with this. One more instant, and then we're gonna touch on some encyclopedia and some other books, because it's definitely not gonna be too long. Because once we get to where we going, if you want to set that, then it ain't nothing else for me to say anyway. I was thinking to you, Acts chapter 12, verse 21 through 23. And upon a set day, Herod, this is Herod's nephew was referring to, and upon a set day, Herod, arrayed in royal apparel, his birthday, sat upon his throne and made oration unto them. And the people gave a shout, saying, It is the voice of a God and not of a man. And immediately the angel of Yahuwah smote him, because he gave not Yahuwah the esteem. And he was eaten of worms and gave up the spirit. Hallelujah. So let's just touch this right quick. It says that the people gave shouts, saying, It is the voice of a God, not of a man. Birthday celebrations were celebrated by the people for the kingdom to deify their kings as quote-unquote God on earth, a mockery of Yahushua HaMashiach. This is where the self-worship comes into play. And we're going to even get some of that out of the Satanic Bible to see what they say about birthdays, because we sure shouldn't be doing any festivities that they're doing. But we're definitely going to see what they have to say about birthdays. So also it says, And immediately the angel of Yahuwah smote him, because he gave not Yahuwah the esteem. Celebrating your birthday is taking the esteem from Yahuwah. That's putting all the attention on you. Supposed to be praising the Most High. That's why my birthday come around, I don't even mention it. I don't even have nothing to say about my birthday. For what? I really just want to get to the kingdom. I don't even want to be here no more. You get what I'm saying? I will stay to your. So that's just what that is. But let's continue on. Now we're going to hit some encyclopedia. We're going to hit the Encyclopedia Judaica. And it says this in the Encyclopedia Judaica. It says, The celebration of birthdays is unknown in traditional Jewish ritual. Not saying that they don't know about it. It's unknown, meaning the tradition, Jewish ritual, quote-unquote Jewish, us Yahudim, we didn't have nothing to do with that. And our traditional, back in the throwback, when everybody was coming up, Shabbat Shalom, sis, all this thing to you, When everybody was coming up, we didn't partake in that. It was unknown to us. We was like, we curved that every time. We never ever partook in that. And we still shouldn't be partaking in it. Let's go. Let's see what a first century historian said. I know many of us have heard about Josephus, real name Yosef Mattayahu. He was around in 37 AD to like 100 AD, like around there. He was a Jewish scholar, a historian, born in Jerusalem to a priestly father, a father of priestly descent. Hallelujah. So this is right, first century. This is right around Yahushua's time. This man was in the midst of what was going on. And this is what he said in his 2 books. It's a 2-volume book called Against Apion. Y'all should read it. It's a lot of reading, but oh man, it's amazing when you read what he wrote and being right there in the midst of it. Man, you can't get really no better account unless Yahuwah give it to you yourself. But Yosef Mattayahu, Josephus, was in the midst of it. And this is what he said, verbatim. Nay, indeed, the law does not permit us to make festivals at the births of our children. Let me start right there before I even continue. This is what somebody, once again, who is in the midst of all of our people's cultural, I don't want to say rituals, cultural events, cultural activities. He says, nay, indeed, the law does not permit us to make festivals at the births of our children. That's clear. I mean, I don't really know how much clearer one could put it. As well as with the scriptures we just went over, I don't see how we can just ignore the first century historian who has a descent from a priestly tribe, telling us that the law does not permit us to make festivals at births. Not permitted, meaning you can't make festivals. We're not supposed to do it. And it's a reason why we're going to get to that very soon. Let's continue on. And thereby afford occasion of drinking to excess. But it ordains that from the very beginning of our education should be immediately directed to sobriety. It also commands us to bring those children up in learning and to exercise them in the laws and make them acquainted with the acts of their predecessors. See, we got to go back to see what our people did, because you can read the scripts and they changed a lot of stuff. Man, they changed a lot of stuff. But then that's where John chapter 16 verse 13 comes in and says the spirit of truth will lead us into all truth. If we just go back and look at what our people did, if we just look to see what our people did, how did they live? What activities did they partake in? What activities did they stay away from? Then we know what we're supposed to be doing. Because we can read a book all day and still don't get nothing from it. That's what's going on in the Christian church. They sit there all day and read the same book, and sometimes they don't even read the book, but they still don't get what they're supposed to get from it, because they're not going by the examples that was put in the scripts for us. So once again, it says that we're to exercise them in the laws, make them acquainted with the acts of their predecessors, in order for them to imitate them, and that they may be nourished up in the laws from their infancy, and might neither transgress them, nor have any pretense for their ignorance of them. Hallelujah. Who? Big facts. So this is right here telling us that we're supposed to raise our kids up in the law, the examples of our predecessors. What did they do? How did they live? Did they partake in these things? And if there were some of us who partook in them, what type of us and why did we? Because there were some of us, but it admits that we were taken after the customs of our heathen contemporaries, meaning the people who were heathen, practicing heathen activities back then in that time. This is, and once again, the ones who did celebrate that of our people, it was only to deify themselves as quote unquote God on earth, which is a mockery of Yahushua, which is definitely not good at all, not in the least bit. We almost finished. This one ain't long at all. This is from the Satanic Bible. This is from the people who worship the devil and sacrifice humans to these demons. And this is what Anton LaVey, the founder of the Church of Satan. You should look that guy up. Shabbat Shalom, Aki, all this thing to you. Anton LaVey, the founder of the Church of Satan. In the 1969 version of the Satanic Bible, he says, the highest of all holidays in the Satanic religion is the date of one's own birth. Sheesh, there's so much sorcery behind that, but I'm going to read that one more time. The highest of all holidays in the Satanic religion is the date of one's own birth. Sheesh. This is in direct contradiction to the holy of holy days of other religions, which deify a particular Allure, Yahushua, who has been created in an anthropomorphic, which means having human characteristics, form of their own image, thereby showing that the ego is not really buried. He said that this right here is celebrating birthdays is in direct contradiction to the holy days. I don't really know how much more clear one could get. This is coming from a satanic being, a person who worships the devil, telling this. He also says, after one's own birthday, The two major satanic holidays are Walpurgisnacht, however you say that German word, but it means witches' night. So and Halloween, excuse me. So celebrating your birthday to the Satanists is higher than witches' night and higher than Halloween. And we know Halloween's super wicked. We know that. So if celebrating your birthday is higher than those two holidays, boy, you ain't got no business even touching that and calling yourself serving Yahuwah. It doesn't. You can't do both. You can't sit there and say you serve Yahuwah, but then celebrate the Satanist highest holiday. That doesn't even make any sense. That makes no sense at all. So he continues on to say, the Satanist feels, why not really be honest? And if you're going to create a God in your image, why not create yourself as that God? This is what the whole point of celebrating birthdays is to deify a person as God on earth. This is big facts. This is all through encyclopedias and I think it was the 1934. I got to triple check that. Don't quote me. But it's all in encyclopedias and everything, man. And there's no way to get around that. Once again, after one's own birthday, the two major satanic holidays are Witches' Night and Halloween. So, you're celebrating your own birthday tops Witches' Night and Halloween. Celebrating your own birthday is the most important day of the year to a Satanist. Why? Because it recognizes himself as a God. We can't do that. And doing that is mocking Yahusha. There's only one allure. Yes, script does say that we are gods, but we got to get the understanding of what that means. We are mighty ones. Absolutely, we are mighty ones. Yahuwah made us that way. But that doesn't give us any pretense or any open door or green light to celebrate ourselves as a deity above. Yahuwah says when you boast, boast in Yahuwah. Is your birthday celebrating boasting in Yahuwah? Or do you got 29 and all these pictures and everybody praising you? Which one? Because it ain't doing both. It ain't praising Yahuwah and you at the same time. You can't do that. It's not going to work. And what Yahuwah said, be not deceived. Yahuwah is not mocked. For whatsoever a man soweth, that also shall he reap. Period. So if a man is mocking Yahusha, and this activity was created to mock Yahusha, and people are partaking in this activity that was created to mock Yahusha, then, man, it's not a good thing. Because Yahuwah won't be mocked, and a man will reap what he sowed. So it's best to stay away from the wickedness completely. Forget what people talking about. Oh, it's harmless, it's that, it's this. No, it's a meaning behind it. Remember, these are heathen customs. Yahuwah told us, do not learn the ways of the heathen. Jeremiah chapter 10, verse 2 through 4. Learn not the way of the heathen. So if this is a custom of the heathen, we don't have no business dealing with that. So let's continue on. Some notes. Thus, birthday celebrations were condemned as far as the late 3rd century by even Roman Catholic leaders. The late 3rd century, even Roman Catholic leaders condemned birthday celebrations. But, like many practices associated with non-biblical Christianity, this changed in the 4th century because of compromises with the pagan cult of Mithraism. So birthdays come from the pagan cult of Mithraism. You don't know about Mithraism, you should look it up. Bunch of human sacrifices, pedophilia orgies, bunch of demonic activities. And this is where birthday comes from compromises with the pagan cult of Mithraism. Can't have both, Aki and Akati. Can't do both. Can't serve Yahuwah and celebrate your birthday. It's just not going to work. All this thing to Yahuwah. It's a custom of the Gentiles. Better believe it. A wicked custom of the Gentiles. Let's continue on. It says, the giving of birthday gifts is a custom associated with the offering of human and animal sacrifices to pagan gods on their birthdays. So this is where the gifts come from. Here you go, glad tidings. Because this is a mockery, once again, of the customs associated with sacrificing human and animal beings to these devils. This is what the giving the gifts is. So now when you go ahead and mock that, you participating in the sacrificing the animals and human, whether you know it or not. Because like Yahuwah said, you can't mock it. You're either going to do it or you're not going to do it. It's either you stay away from it or you partake in it. There's no such thing as mocking it. If you're doing it, you're partaking in it. Period. So once again, the giving of birthday gifts is a custom associated with the offering of human and animal sacrifices to pagan gods on their birthdays. So like December 25th, they claim it's JC's birthday. They sacrifice human and animals on these certain days that were created to esteem their deities. That's why we ought to stay away from these things. A little bit more, we almost finished. Check this one out. The traditional birthday cake and candles also have their origin in ancient pagan idol worship. The ancients believed that the fire of the candles had magical properties. They offered prayers and made wishes to be carried to the gods on the flames of the candles. Thus, we still have the widely practiced birthday custom of making a wish, then blowing out the candles. So it's the same as that thing. It's the same as that thing. It's just made up pretty. Oh, make a wish. But where did it come from? these people worshiping the devils, blowing out the candles, sending up the quote unquote wishes to their deities. We ain't supposed to partake in none of that. Almost finished. It's the last part, and this one right here, this was a banger. I just definitely wanted to leave us with this on our mind right here. All the steam to Yahuwah, because this one right here is cut and dry. Of course, early Christians did not celebrate birthdays, nor did the early Jews, nor have real Christians ever celebrated Halloween. No early religious / church writing from the 2nd century that I have seen seems to endorse or even suggest that the celebration of birthdays by any who profess the Mashiach. Although he was not part of any church, the writings of the early century Catholic theologian shows that even late Orthodox Catholics were against the celebrations of birthdays. This is what Origen wrote. And he said, Imperial Natalia asserts that in the scriptures, sinners alone, not saints, celebrate their birthdays. This was Martindale C. Christmas in 1908. Once again, a Catholic theologian. He says that sinners alone, not saints, celebrate their birthday. Period. Can't get around that. All the steam to Yahuwah. There's no question about it. The saints don't celebrate our birthdays. We give all the steam to Yahuwah. Celebrating your birthday is esteeming yourself. All the steam to Yahuwah. Shalom, Maki. Celebrating your birthday is esteeming yourself. You could thank Yahuwah for your life. You could thank Yahuwah for another year. Big fast. That's no pressure at all. That's a big difference than a celebration. Thanking Yahuwah and celebrating something is totally different. Going out your way to get dressed up, invite people here, buy this, buy that. Listen, that's all pagan customs, man. We esteem Yahuwah. Bit fast. Now, that's the last one I'm going to leave y'all with. This is something else Origen wrote. And it says, of all the holy people in the scriptures, not one is recorded to have kept a feast or held a banquet on his birthday. It is only sinners like Pharaoh and Herod who make great rejoicings over the day on which they was born into this world below. All the thing to Yahuwah. Not one is recorded. If that's the case, we should have a birthday for Abraham. We should have a birthday for Moses. We should have a birthday for Yahusha. We should have a birthday for all these people if birthday celebrations was okay with Yahuwah or ordained from our customs. There should be a birthday from all those patriarchs. Everyone, Jacob, all of them. Why not? Why not? But there is none. And you won't ever find one. No Hanak or Enoch. No birthdays mentioned. Why? Because we're not supposed to celebrate these birthdays. It's a heathen custom that Yahuwah is sorely displeased with. Period. Notice, it takes away more attention from Yahuwah's feast days. You celebrating your day, your feast day. That's your day. You was born. That's your feast day. But you ain't even touching these feast days in the script. How that's gonna be okay with the king? Absolutely not okay. So now you deifying yourself above the Most High. See, people don't think it's that serious, but it really is that serious. It's just dressed up. It don't look that serious. If we saw, and forgive me for being so vulgar, if we saw a bunch of adults raping kids in the middle of the street right now, people like me, we were going to do some damage. Of course, especially if they was the children of Yahuwah. But back in the day, that was normal to them. That was normal to them to see a bunch of adults having sex with kids in the street. So I said that to say this. Now it's just dressed up looking pretty. Now we don't see it on the forefront, but it's still there. And it don't look like it, but it's definitely there. All you got to do is research and see what's going on some of these nights, like Witches Night, Halloween, all these Valentine's Day, all these different days, man. It's nothing but a bunch of pedophilia orgies, man, where they raping little kids, and a lot of times they sacrifice them and eat them afterwards. All you got to do is research. You ain't got to listen to me. These things are documented, and it's not conspiracy. You get what I'm saying? You ain't have to take my word for anything that I just said on this video. You can go ignore it, or you can go look a little bit deeper and see that this is a pagan custom that Yahuwah despises. When Yahuwah said, I hate your feast days, he wasn't talking about us keeping his feast. He was talking about all these pagan customs that we were keeping. Those are the feast days he hates. All these pagan customs that we keeping, Thanksgiving, all these, Christmas, Easter, birthdays. He hates those. He said, I will not smell in your assembly. I ain't come. What's going on in churches? They celebrating every satanic holiday, but yet they think they praising the Most High Yahuwah. He said, I won't even smell in your assembly. I ain't even touching that. I'm good. You get what I'm saying? So all the staying to the Most High Yahuwah. Once again, only the sinners are recorded celebrating their birthdays in the scriptures. Only the sinners, never the saints. Not one time has a saint been recorded celebrating his birthday. But a couple righteous men, they all said, stay away from it. Curse that day. Let not that day be blessed, or let no joy come therein. So there you have it on a short note, because there's much more to dig into, but I definitely don't want to lose the attention span. But just think about that, man. Celebrating your birthday is esteeming yourself above the Most High Yahuwah, whether you think so or not. It's all through the scriptures and history Many encyclopedias ordain, and it makes perfect sense. It's a day all about this one. All attention is focused on this one person. All the attention is focused on this one person. Where's the Most High getting praised at? Where's the law, statutes, and commandments being promoted at? You get what I'm saying? And it's all about turning back to Yahuwah, turning away from our own selves. So why are we celebrating our own selves? Period. Last thing I'm going to say, once I'm going to reread what the first century, Yosef Mattyahu, what the priestly father said. Nay, indeed, the law does not permit us to make festivals at the birth of our children. Period. So we shouldn't be making festivals at the birth of our children or ourselves. We shouldn't be attending births, festivals of birth for anybody. That's just big facts. So, all this thing to you, hood. Barak all y'all in Yahushua HaMashiach name who are tuned in. Shabbat Shalom, my family. I love y'all. I appreciate the love, man. I pray Yahuwah Barak y'all on this day. Magnificently magnify your spirit in his sight and forgive us for all our iniquities and the iniquities of our forefathers. And heal our land, baby. So we can go back home. It's already. All this thing to you. So on that note, we get to know birthdays are wicked. We ought to stay away from them. And a man shall reap what he sow. Make no mistake about it. All this thing to you. Y'all have a magnificent day, Mishpat. Hallelujah. Shalom.